I think you got a napkin.
Doing Walter.
Hey, Walt.
Walter, how you doing?
Good evening, Walter.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
That too. Don't worry.
I'm good. How you doing?
Great, thanks. It's everybody tonight.
Did it start raining yet?
No,
Pretty windy out there though, huh?
yes, it is. That it is. Let's see. Make sure.
Okay, very good, Heather. Thank you. Oh, good evening and welcome to this workshop meeting of the Town of Henrietta Planning Board on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. Members present, Matt Borkowski, Craig Eckert, Walter Liss, Robert Barley, Marcy Reynolds, and Dan Mastrella, Planning Board Attorney. Town staff present, Chris Martin, Director of Planning and Engineering, and Luke Bushin, Deputy Director, Planning and Engineering. I want to mention that beginning this evening, this board is including a recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance at the start of our meeting after the roll call. If you've presented to us before, you'll know this is new to our agenda, and this will be a regular part of this meeting going forward. At this time, I'll invite the board to stand.
Thank you. Over here. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first order of business this evening will be the minutes from the March 21st, 2023 meeting. Any comments or questions from board members? The chair will entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Barley, thank you. A sufficient second, please.
I'll second that.
Mr. Eckert or,
Tie.
okay,
It's a
we'll give that to Mr. Eckert.
tie goes to the big guy.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, first application this evening is 23-006 Riverwood Tech Campus. This is for Building A addition. Final site plan approval of a 10,800 square foot, one-story building addition to existing Building A located at 4545 East River Road in an industrial zoned district with mixed-use employment center overlay district. I'll have you introduce yourself and the floor is yours.
Good evening, Link Swedrock with BME Associates. Here tonight to just request site plan review for the 10,800 square foot building addition to Building A. If you want to pull up the site plan, I can show basically it includes some improvements to the parking area, adding some landscaping areas as well as improving just the flow of traffic through the parking areas. The stormwater management facility and bioretention areas were already installed with previous development. And the expansion is on the south side of Building A, as you can see there with the shaded area. The 154, and so it includes 154 parking spaces with 54 future land bank spots. And we also have the rights to use an existing parking lot, which is 454 spaces, which is south of the power lines there. That is RG&E's. It's located below the overhead power lines there. So the building addition is accessed over, like I said, the parking area with sidewalks and improvements to do that. And the access drive was extended through to that parking area and it's just made straight. So we've utilities wise, the existing water system is going to be extended internally. So no, really, it's just being extended internally to serve the new future building addition. There will be a new sewer lateral to serve the new building addition. And there's a 100-year floodplain on the site associated with the river and some federal wetlands on site. However, we're not doing any disturbance near those areas. There's nothing being disturbed in this with this site plan. It was referred to county planning, and we worked to address county planning comments as well as staff comments. We provided written responses back to the comments received on all the staff comments. We also went to the conservation board and met with them, as well as provided responses to them as well. So I think if you want to, lighting is just going to be LED dark sky fixtures in the parking areas. And we provided a lighting plan with photometrics and included in your parking set. Included in your plan set there, erosion and sediment control, photometrics for the lighting, detailing of the parking areas, and because it's mainly a glass building, there's not lighting will be typical standard to what's out there now, and there's not going to be a lot of building mounted lighting with all the glass, so it'll be mainly the parking lot lighting illuminating the parking areas. And there's a standard lighting plan on there, and I think really it was reviewed by most of the staff, and we provided what responses we could. And I don't know if Craig, if you want to try to pull up the building, we can look at the building real quick as well. I think there's some elevational views of the building as well that you can see that it's part of, basically it's an expansion that existing tenant is looking to do just for their employees, as well as just needs for the building and their employees of that tenant in Riverwood Building A. So with that, I'll try to answer any of the questions the board has.
Very good. Well, thank you. That's a great project, and it's nice to see it being improved upon and enhanced. And I do want to thank you for submitting your responses to Mr. Martin's comments. It helps us out quite a bit when we get those. Looks like you're able to address pretty much everything on there. But with that being said, I'll open it up to the board here, and I'll start with Mr. Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
I do not have any comments, being it's all internal, parking's internal, nothing else off-site, anything else. This project was designed for, future build outs just like this. And the developer has already taken all of the amenities into account, paths, trails, and everything else has already been installed. So I have no comments at this point.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Mr. Borkowski,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
you're welcome.
Like Mr. Eckert, I don't have a lot of comments. You addressed them all. We love it when you guys make comprehensive responses. So that's great. And this is a sharp property to begin with. So really you're just adding to that. And I'm really appreciative. It's a great place to go by, and it's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borkowski. The chair will recognize Mr. Barley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
I see that you have ADA compliance here, and it looks like you got ample spots for people to park that are handicapped, and you even have a van accessible spot. That's very nice. I don't have any other questions. Good job.
Thank you.
All set, Mr. Barley?
Yes. all
Thank
set.
you. Yeah, the chair will recognize Mr. Liss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
I think it's a very nice addition to what is there already, and it looks like you did a nice job. That's the only comment I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liss. Chair will recognize Mrs. Reynolds.
Thank you. It looks great. Thank you. I have no additional questions or comments at this time.
Very good. Anything from town staff? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Seeker review indicates the action under consideration is an unlisted action as per section 617.7 C1 VIII. The Henrietta Planning Board, as lead agency, has determined that the proposed action described below will not have a significant effect on the environment, and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be required. The action under consideration is a site plan application by Riverwood Tech Campus LLC. It is an unlisted action and will not require a conditioned negative declaration. The purpose of this application for final site plan approval of a 10,800 square foot one-story building addition to existing building A located at 4545 East River Road in an industrial zoned district with mixed-use employment center overlay district. All relevant areas of environmental concern were identified. Evaluation and examination were carefully made in relation of the existing conditions versus the proposed site improvements. It has been determined that there will be no adverse environmental effect as a result of the proposed action. So I, James Brunner, therefore make the motion that we make a negative declaration and that the chairman be authorized to sign the statement of environmental significance. Do I have a sufficient second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Barley.
That was me.
did, But
You said something?
I seconded as well.
Okay.
Oh, can we give it to Mrs. Reynolds, Mr. Barley?
Please do.
Okay.
I
Thank
thought
you,
I
Mrs.
heard her,
Reynolds.
but you know, my hearing's not that good.
Very good. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, we have a seeker. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 23-006.
Thank you, Mr. Barley. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Eckert, thank you. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
You as well. Next application on tonight's agenda, application 23-00.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Link. Do you have a card, by the way? And if you could leave me a card and sign your name on this line here. I do
You
have
actually
your
signed in the
information.
back there.
Yeah, yeah. If you sign in the back, we're good. But if you have a card, please leave it.
Thank you, Mr. Borkowski. Next on the agenda, application number 23-008, La Quinta Inn and Suites by Wyndham for final site plan approval of a four-story hotel located at 105 Fair Avenue in a commercial B1 zoned district. Good evening, gentlemen.
Well, how are you?
Good, thank you. Have you guys signed in the back there?
We did.
Okay, perfect. If you have business cards, you can leave those back there as well. Thank
Will
you.
do. Well, members of the board, my name is Joshua Saxton. I'm a civil engineer at Passero Associates representing the client today. I'm here to talk about the La Quinta Hotel located on Fair Ave, just, half mile down the road from where we are right now. Before I get into the site design currently, just want to give a little background on the parcel. This has already been to the planning board and been through the town approval process back in 2018, 2019. That was for a Wingate Hawthorne Hotel. That was 125 bedrooms. And essentially almost the same layout as this, given that this site is a little bit smaller with only 81 beds. Essentially kind of the same layout. One entrance off of Fair Avenue, another off of Minerva Campbell Way. Actually the same exact, curb cut locations that we had for the original layout. And a lot of it's, essentially the same, parking around the hotel. There's going to be an outdoor patio area for guests to stay and, stay in the sun for a little bit. There's going to be a porte cochere in the front. That'll be kind of facing in the northeastern corner of the site. A sufficient amount of ADA accessible parking has been provided on site. And the dumpster location is kind of located in the same spot as it was in the original application in the back southwestern corner, away from any roads and kind of hidden by the building. So it's not very visible from either road. As far as utilities go on site, given that it was approved and, pretty much ready to go before, there is sufficient water and sanitary service on site. There's actually an existing sanitary lateral that will be connecting to along the north side of the property, and water runs along Fair Avenue that will be connecting to. Stormwater, similarly designed from the past layout, is going to be kind of located in the southwestern corner. There's going to be two bioretention areas that discharge to a detention pond, and that pond eventually overflows or discharges into the adjacent creek to the southwest. Kind of in addition to this project, kind of a second part is along Calkins Road, and originally came up with this hotel, as well as much of the development in the surrounding area is Calkins Road improvements, mainly at the intersection of Fair Avenue and Calkins Road. That's still being currently reviewed with the Monroe County Department of Transportation. That included adding left turn lanes at the intersection and signalizing it. We're pretty much at the finish line of it. What's kind of holding it up is there's been some change in the signal department at the DOT. And they're transitioning a lot of their lights from the loop system, which is what it was designed as before, to a camera system. So we just have to go through some slight redesign of the light and some of the infrastructure in the area to accommodate that. And I know that was one of the comments from the DOT on the county referral comments, was they wanted to see those improvements implemented before a C of O is issued for the hotel. So that should be picking up in the next couple of months, I believe. So we are kind of working those in tandem, and then the improvements Calkins Road, and then hopefully the hotel, once it's completed, will be done around the same time. We did receive comments from town staff. I did provide responses to those comments back. I have extras if anyone needs them. Nothing too major. I know one of the discussions items was the Calkins Road improvement. So happy to answer any questions about that. But as far as other comments go, nothing major, any showstoppers that I saw. But if the board or anyone here has any comments on those or additional comments to the site that weren't included, I'm here to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you. And we do appreciate, as with the other applicant, you're taking the time to respond to those and send those notes to us. It helps, again, quite a bit. So that being said, Chair will recognize Mr. Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
A couple of quick comments. I do recall being through this already with the Hawthorne that was there prior, so there wasn't a whole lot to it. I think this is a smaller footprint. I think you mentioned that as well. There's only two things that came across my mind. One is there is already an existing sanitary lateral, right, across Minerva Campbell. We dragged that across the road when we built the library in preparation for the Hawthorne. So that one less disturbance for potential board access across the road. We can get you that information. Okay, good. The next is, I guess I was also, and I did see that in your comment, the special use permit that was granted for this.
Yeah,
The height was, what was granted?
I believe it was 60 feet.
It was 60. Okay, because that's what we're at. I know it was 4-story, but we went from 40 or 50 to 60, right?
Mhm.
So, okay, so that's what was granted in the special use permit.
And then that was one comment, was to add those requirements and what was granted to the site plan, just for record, so someone can see the site plan, like, okay, this
Yeah,
was.
okay, that's what I
granted.
couldn't see was the actual special use permit to look it up for the height variance, because
Yep.
it's tall.
Yep.
Okay, and I guess that's what comes with smaller footprint.
Yeah.
Okay. This will tower over the library.
Maybe.
Yeah, and that's okay. I don't need to answer. That's already been granted, so I appreciate that.
Yep.
That's my only other two thing. When I was looking at it, it just looked very tall, so. That's just more of a comment than anything else, but it was already approved. So that is the only other comments that I had written down in my review, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Chair will recognize Mr. Borkowski.
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borkowski. Chair will recognize Mr. Barley.
Mr. Saxon, the last project, did it have two buildings on the last project you guys
It
came with?
was just one hotel.
It was one?
Yeah.
Was there temporary housing and then?
It's going to be two different flags, right? The old one, I think, was going to be half of a
Two
Wyndham on
window-
one end
Yeah,
and
And half
another one
of
on the
a
other
Hawthorne.
side, right?
Yeah,
okay, that's what I remember.
but it was all one building. It was
all
not
one
separated
building.
into. Yeah.
Okay, so we have no problem with any wetlands or anything like that, right? Flood plan's good. Having no other questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barley. Chair will recognize Mr. Liss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
My first thing is to take objection to the Conservation Board's recommendation to you about removing the butterfly bushes.
Mhm.
It's a minor thing, but I looked at it last night and I made an inquiry to Cornell Cooperative Extension. They really are not an invasive species
Okay.
in our environment.
Okay.
And if somebody reaches out to the Conservation Board and lets them know that, in certain climates like mid-Atlantic, down the West Coast in the mid-Atlantic region, yes, they are, but in our area here, unless the climate really does warm up,
Mhm. Okay.
just my note, yeah. Other than that, I think this thing's been a long time coming, I know that, and it looks really good. Then that's pretty much all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liss. Chair will recognize Mrs. Reynolds.
Thank you. I have no additional questions.
Okay, thank you. Lakinta, is that the lowest segment of the Wyndham brand? Or is there one below La Quinta?
I do not know.
Okay,
I don't know.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Any comments from town staff at all, Mr. Mastrola?
Nothing.
Okay, Mr. Martin? Seeker, very good. Seeker review indicates the action under consideration is an unlisted action as per section 617.7 C1 VIII. The Henrietta Planning Board, as lead agency, has determined that the proposed action described below will not have a significant effect on the environment and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be required. The action under consideration is a site plan application by Passero Associates. It is an unlisted action and will not require a conditioned negative declaration. The purpose of this application for final site plan approval of a 4-story hotel located at 105 Fair Avenue in the commercial B1 zone district. All relevant areas of environmental concern were identified. Evaluation and examination were carefully made in relation of the existing conditions versus the proposed site improvements. It's been determined that there will be no adverse environmental effect as a result of the proposed action. So I, James Gruner, therefore make the motion that we make a negative declaration and that the chairman be authorized to sign the statement of environmental significance. Do I have a sufficient second, please?
I'll second that.
Mr. List, thank you.
Sorry.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, opinion chair, the ayes have it. We have seeker. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I'll make a motion to approve application number 23-008.
Thank you, Mr. List. Do I have a sufficient second, please?
Second.
Mrs. Reynolds, thank you. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to Henrietta. Okay, moving right along. Our last item this evening is a discussion item. East River Henrietta LLC. And we are going to discuss the density requirements for a proposed 224 unit, single family attached dwelling project with a density of 9.8 dwelling units per acre, whereas 8 dwelling units per acre is required by town code. In order to provide the town board with an advisory opinion, this is located at 84, 85 and 135 Lehigh Station Road in an industrial zone district with a mixed use employment center overlay district. I will advise the board that Mr. Borkowski is required to note our written comments because these are going forward to the town board itself. So if we can keep our comments and opinions somewhat simplistic, just so we don't get too verbose and have Mr. Borkowski run out of ink in his pen. So you're welcome. So I'll introduce yourself, please, and the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. Good evening. My name is Andrew Burns from Passero Associates. With me tonight is Brian McKinnon, representing the applicant and developer, East River Henrietta LLC. Online, we have Blago Gorevsky representing Ryan Homes and NVR, the home builder, the proposed home builder.
Can I have you maybe raise the mic a little bit? I'm not sure it's picking you up.
Better?
That's better.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, better.
I'm taller than Josh.
And did you bring cards and sign in the
Yeah, I
back?
signed in. I got a card right here. I
Perfect,
can
thank you.
leave or bring up too. We are currently working with the town board on a modification to the previously approved special use permit for the project sites located at 84, 85 and 135 Lehigh Station Road within the mixed use employment center overlay district. The previously approved special use permit included plus or minus 350 residential units to the north, as shown over here in the land use diagram, as well as plus or minus 5,000 square feet of industrial use to the south. While I'm sure this board is aware, the residential properties to the north of Lehigh Station Road have previously been approved and are currently under construction. That being said, finding industrial users for the southern property has been a challenge. With that, the developer does have a current opportunity to modify the existing special use permit to allow for 224 for sale townhome units on the east side of the creek of the southern property, while still providing the minimum industrial area required for the employment overlay district. And as to why we're here this evening, since the special use permit was issued, a revision of the town code was made in which the mixed use overlay districts calculate densities per usable acreage. This change brings the overall density to 9.8 units per acre, while 8 is the max allowed as previously stated. Based on a more traditional density calculation, using total parcel area, the densities for the north and south parcels would be approximately 6.5 units, which would be below that 8, but again, per that recent revision, we are slightly over that. And what's affecting our site specifically is these unusable areas of a large power easement to the south of the properties, as well as existing wetlands and a creek dividing the site. And, while we're on density, that's why we're here tonight. So I can open up for any comments the board may have.
Okay, very good. This is a discussion item, but I'll poll everybody individually and I'll start with Mr. Eckert, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
So my comments, are basically stemmed from, I guess, the density requirement came from the employment district, Chris, or from the overall? Okay. So those density requirements were chosen because of town code though, right?
Right. When we updated the code to allow them to go with this.
Okay, so allowing a higher density does what going forward? Allows it for any other project? Only under comments?
But I will say that I think we did remove some of the buildings.
Yeah, that's correct. Our initial application did carry a 236 units. And per conversations with the town board, we did reduce that to 224, which we believe they were very recessive to.
So can I jump in here? So what is the higher density then? If there's fewer buildings, why is the density?
Still
Higher.
higher. It's even,
Okay, I see. Higher than, gotcha. Okay.
I don't know what it was
Thank you.
prior. If you have that number.
Just to clarify, originally, when the project was proposed, the formula for determining what you based your percentages on was different. And now the code excludes non-usable property within the parcel, which makes their percentages go up.
I see.
Even with their old project, their percentages will go up, but with the project being expanded residentially, it puts it over. It's my understanding that they have that they came into town board with an even higher density and have moved that downward, so to speak. But and just to address something Mr. Eckert said, this isn't a variance type situation. It's a special permit situation from the town board. So it doesn't really have a binding effect like if it was the zoning board giving a density variance on this. It's a little different than that.
Well, then that stems to my comments that, if we're going to increase density, this would be a good spot in my mind. There's nothing else really there that affects it. It's not like it's next to a large other traffic generator or something else, and if the industrial does go in, I know it's been a little bit slow with industrial process lately for the town, but it would be a great work live type of scenario. It also works pretty well with the Kodak property across the street, the old Kodak property, as far as a work, close to kind of scenario. So, I'm on board with the with the higher density, being that it has minimal effect in this corner with anything else that's already existing. I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's my discussion, I guess, that I'm throwing out there in case anybody agrees or disagrees. There's it's not like an already existing established neighborhood. It's not a rural area. It's a rural area, but not a rural residential by code. So that's where my mind's kind of going if that doesn't steer us down a dark path.
Thank you. No, that helps me. I know. All set?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Chair will recognize Mr. Borkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I'm
Would
just
you-
trying to get
would you
this.
Rather me wait?
Yeah,
Come back to
yeah,
you?
would that be okay?
Okay, certainly. Yep. The chair will recognize Mr. Barley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
My question is, would this project work at eight units per acre? Would it work? We'd get 8 dwellings?
With the density,
Yeah.
unfortunately for the project to be successful, we feel that 224 is the minimum that we could go for a few reasons. As a part of this project, we are going to have to install and carry the cost for this secondary access over to East River Road.
Mhm.
And again, that's no small feat. So that's one of the main reasons. And again, we've already previously reduced to, from that ideal
From the
number we wanted
236.
and
We'll wait till everybody else goes through, but another question.
Okay, thanks for that answer. I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
No
Mr.
other
Barley.
questions.
You wanted to wait or go? Mr. Eckert, would you like the floor again, sir?
I'm sorry, yeah, then, so that kind of dawned on me, that came a little more clear. What's that other little spur road off the southeast corner there?
this was, I believe at one point there was a potential project going on over here for residential. I don't know how, this is from a few years ago, this layout. It was basically just showing that we did have the potential to connect.
Okay,
If there was
so
ever something
right
that-
now to the east, it's only additional residential? That's,
Not to my knowledge. Again, I'm not familiar with this project. I do believe that there was a potential at
remember.
one point, but
is it? Yeah. Okay. I don't recall what that was for. I know the north side was the old, the project that started that, but I don't know, is that even the north of this?
Every acre.
Is that part of this property, the heritage that started, that stopped?
Right? Mm-hmm, about half acre lots.
Right. It started. It had silt fence that got cleared, but then it was turned green and walked. It was this property. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so I was just wondering what that spur was more than anything.
Okay,
Mike, thank you.
thank you, Mr. Eckert. Chair will recognize Mr. Liss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
So that area down there in the corner that I'm looking at my screen to the 21.82 acres, right? So those are the single family homes right there?
these ones?
Yeah.
Yep, that's correct.
Do you have an example of like what you've built, how the style that you're going to build? I remember coming here to the town board, the supervisor was asking about smaller profile, smaller square footage. I don't know what's your plan going forth with that?
Do you? Brian,
size
have
of these
local
homes.
examples that we could refer to? We don't have a rendering with us,
Okay,
unfortunately, but they will be 2-story.
story.
Yeah, ranging from 3 to 4 units, for sale townhomes. Is there anything locally that we could refer to? That would be similar construction?
So I'm Brian McKinnon, represent the developer. They're townhomes.
They're townhomes.
Lago is with us.
Good evening.
He is the most appropriate person to answer that question.
Oh,
If that's
okay.
appropriate for the board to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, so I can speak to that. First of all, thank you for giving us the opportunity to present tonight. So these are townhomes. We have a mix of 3 to 4, 5-unit buildings. They're 20-foot wide products, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and just a little bit over 1,400 square foot. The idea with this product, based on today's environment and the conditions we're faced from a mortgage standpoint, where today's rates are, affordability isn't a factor. And this is kind of what's driving this product and trying to bring product that will be affordable with today's environment and the cost of building.
Thank you. Thank you. Will there be an HOA with this development?
There will be an HOA in the development.
HOA? Okay. Will that encompass that other area as well? Are those the entire project?
Just the blue area. and
Just the
green.
just the blue area?
Blue and green.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Liss. Mr. Borkowski, did you get Blago's last name?
Did not. Could you spell that?
Blago, can you spell your last name for us, please?
Sure. G as in George, O as in Oscar, R as in Robert, E as in Edward, V as in Victor, S as in Sam, K as in Katie, I as in Ivan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the chair will recognize Mrs. Reynolds.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question was answered about the townhomes. They're not single, are they 1,400 square feet per unit, 4 units
Yes,
per building, correct?
yeah, per unit per building, and they're the
That's correct. Each individual unit is just,
I'm sorry.
that's correct. Each unit would be just a little over 1,400 square foot.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, well, very good. Yeah, Mr. Eckert, I really appreciate your comment and that makes me feel better. It just seemed a little bit dense to me, but if you're comfortable with it, what you said makes a lot of sense. And, where it is, it's not going to infringe on, like you said, other established neighborhoods or things like that. So for the record, Mr. Borkowski, the chairman is in favor of the density change. Mr. Eckert, you want to vote? And we'll give the board a kind of a vote from everybody.
I mean,
You're
just
good
take
with
a
it?
poll. I don't know if we need a vote as much as just a poll. I think the board wants to see.
The board wants to see what recommendations and, that board has. So I think,
All right.
I guess you're right. Are you in favor of the current density or?
That's what I meant. Yeah. So you're in favor?
I am
Yeah.
I'm okay with the density increase.
Okay.
From 8, right, to 9.8.
Correct.
So, and in a place like this, I'm in favor, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. The chair is also.
I'm gonna say no.
I wish they would stay with the 8 units. Myself personally also.
I'm fine with their request of 9.
I'm fine with the request as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and we'll forward this to the town board for their consideration, and I'm sure you'll be in touch with them or they'll be in touch with you going forward. So thank you for coming in this evening. We appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen. Yes,
Thank you.
It's my understanding they'll have to come back here, just so you know,
Okay.
for
Final
their site plans.
site plan. Okay.
There's subdivision and it, whatever the town board sets, that's the, they're stuck with those parameters
Yeah.
when they come back here for.
Yeah. So this was informal discussion, of course, right? And then we'll do the more formal aspects.
Thank you for having us. Can I just offer one comment, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Relative to the density, part of that is also driven by the market. There's a tremendous demand for this product, if you will, in Henrietta, and quite frankly, throughout our region for something more affordable, especially for first-time home buyers with young families. So I just wanted the board to consider that as a positive for the community, that this is also driving the density, notwithstanding the costs associated with the
Right,
construction and that emergency road that we have to put over to East River for fire access. So
Yeah.
just want to leave that thought with you. It's,
Very good.
it's a positive thing for the community.
Thank you, Brian.
What would the pricing be about? What do you think the price? is
Augur,
gonna
you
be
want
for
to
this?
comment on the pricing, please?
Yeah, our goal is to stay in the twos.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear it all. 200s?
In the 200s, correct.
Okay.
We'll see you hopefully at the next.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening. Martin, anything before we adjourn this evening?
Tomorrow is the deadline for use planning board meeting. We do have one item right now, but I suspect we'll probably get a lot more.
Okay. Okay.
Motion adjourned,
Thank you, Mr. Borkowski.
6:37.
6:37.
Hey, did you get a level here from the assessor's office?
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yes. And I wanted to fight it, but
I don't think we do. No.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Because-
Thanks for taking the notes. Did you get everything?
oh, yeah.
Good. Okay.
And are you gonna fight it?
I tried last year, I thought.
Mm-hmm,
Last year, I thought a reassessment on
mm-hmm,
this house that we bought. My wife's.
Did anything happen?
mm-hmm,
And I had pictures of
mm-hmm.
terrible condition.
I think I do, Mr. Martin. Didn't expect to get out this early, so.